Hello friends, welcome to my channel here at Techies. In this video, we can see how to implement CRUD actions in React.js using Redux pattern, material UI design, and JSON Server REST API. Okay, so before going to the implementation, let me provide one demo. So this is my application. In this listing, I have populated list of company information. Now let me try to create a new record. So this complete design implemented using this material UI components, and also we have included this validation. So the first three fields are a mandatory field, and also we need to click this agree. It's defaultly checked if I'm unchecked. So this submit button also disabled. Okay, so let me click this one. Let me enter some values, test company and email. And next in this company type, we have see this MNC and domestic. So let me choose this domestic. So let me click this submit button. See, so the new record is created successfully, and also it is reflected in our listing. Okay, now I am trying to update this record. See, now the existing data is loaded. Now I am trying to change this type and also this company name. Okay, so let me click the submit button. See, now company updated successfully, and also in this listing we can see this TS limited and also this MNC. Okay, now let me delete this record. So we are getting this confirmation pop-up. Once I am clicked OK, we are getting the message company removed successfully, and also it is reflected in our listing. Okay, and in this listing we have included this pagination and also the loading spinner in the initial load. So this is all about our demo. Now let me start our implementation. Okay, the first step is I'm going to create one brand new React.js application using this command. So basically it will take some time. So look like our application is created. Let me open in our VS Code. So this is my application company app. And the next step is I'm going to create the required files that includes the components and supporting files for our Redux implementation. So inside the source folder, I'm creating one new folder. So similarly, I'm going to create two more folder. The second one is for the Redux implementation. The final one is handling the data. Next, let me create one component. Our component name is company. Here I'm going to use this SFC stateless functional component for defining our component. So initially we can have one div tag. Inside that I just added one h1 tag. And if you are using this SFC command, make sure you have to install this extension simple react snippets. Okay, so otherwise it won't work. So next we can create the files for our Redux implementation. So the first one is action, second one is reducer, and the third one is store. Also I'm going to create two more supporting files for this action. One is action type and another one is action creator. Next, let me move on the data. Here I'm going to include one JSON file. So this file actually acting as our main data source for our JSON server API. Okay, so we have created the required files, and the next step is we have to install the required packages. So the first package is material UI. Okay, let me execute the command. Once it is completed, we can install the next package for material UI icons. Okay, this is completed. So let me execute the next command. Then this React router DOM. So this is for implementing the router. So the React router DOM installation in progress. And the next one is react-toastify. So this is for showing the traditional alert. And the final one is react-redux. It includes lot of packages. The first one is redux, then react-redux, redux-thunk, axios, and redux-logger. And the final one is redux.js toolkit. Okay. So if you want to know about all the individual libraries, I have created the separate series for Redux. So you can find the link from our video description. Now let me execute this command. Okay, the installation gets completed. We can see in this package.json. See, all the libraries are included. Okay. And the next step is we have to run our JSON Server API. So first we have to install this command npm install JSON Server. So basically it will install the JSON Server globally in our machine. So already I have done this step. So next I'm going to run our API using this command. From our application, let me create one more new terminal. And here this JSON server up to watch, this is the syntax. Then I'm going to use the particular JSON file. So I have provided the complete path. So finally I'm going to execute our API in the port of 8000. Okay. So let me execute this one. So currently it's don't have any data. So let me define some data. Also I'm having some data in the handy manner. So let me include it here. Okay. So in this company, I'm going to have 6 fields. The first one is ID, name, email, phone number, address, and type. So I added 3 records. So let me save this one. And this is our API endpoint. Okay. So it is returning all the data. So next, what I'm going to do, let me focus on the designing area. So in our component, so currently I just included this div tag only. Here we can start designing our table. First, let me declare the columns. Constant. Here let me include the objects one by one. Similarly, let me include 6 more items. Okay. Email, phone number, address. So let me include the display name also. Address, company type. Finally, we can include one more object for the action. Okay. So let me save this one. And here we can remove this h1 tag. Let me include this paper element. It's from our material UI. So inside that, let me include this table container and then table. So inside the table, I'm going to include table head and table body. So these all elements belongs to our material UI. So in this header side, we have to include this table cell. So let me generate the for loop for this columns array. And in this key, we can use column.id. And in this text, we can use this column.name. Let me run this application. npm start. So this content actually loading from our app component. So this is a kind of template. So we can remove everything. Also, we have to define our routing here. So let me include this browser router. So inside that we can use this routes. So inside the routes, we can define our individual routes one by one. So in our case, we can register our company components here. Okay. So in this path, we can keep it as the empty. And in this element, we can use our company component. Okay. So let me save this one. So here this logo is not needed. So that's what we are getting this warning. Actually we are not using. Okay, see now our table header is coming. So let me include the add button. So inside this paper element, let me include one div tag. So in this above one, I'm adding one button. Okay, and the variant we can use contained. And let me include some margin. I'm including for this div tag also. Also we can include in this paper also. Okay, here I'm going to use this SX. So let me save this one. So see now we can see some mild border and also this add new button also coming. Okay, and in this header first we have to include this table row. Actually I missed this one. So it is just a tr only. Okay, and let me include one style, and in this table cell now it is somewhat fine. Okay, next in this table body we have to fetch the data from our API and we need to populate it here. So and also if you are clicking this button we have to open the pop-up. So let me define one function here. On click function add. So let me define this function, and I am declaring one use state variable. So default value let me provide as false. Okay, so this is related to opening our pop-up, and we can define our pop-up. So after this paper control, let me include this dialog. So this one also belongs to our material UI. So in this dialog, I am going to include dialog title and dialog content. Okay, and in this title and saying create company. So in this dialog content, we can include all the form controls. So first I am added one form tag. Here I'm going to use this tag. Then I'm going to include the text field. Okay, so text field is nothing but our input control only. And here the variant we can use outlined, and the label we can use name. So let me save this one, and in this dialog element I'm going to use this open. So the value we can use the same open, and also closing this pop-up we can use this on close. Here I am going to include one function close pop-up. So let me copy this one, false. So similarly we can create one more method, that is open pop-up. Okay, and the value is true. So in this function add I am just calling this function. So let me save this one. So when I'm clicking this button, now we are able to see one small pop-up. So let me provide some. Okay, this is fine. So the similar way I'm going to include all the controls one by one. So before that, let me initiate all the use state variable for the individual controls. So the first one is ID, and the event name is id change. The default value is 0. So let me copy this one. I added 5 more useState variables, and the second one is name, and the event name is name change. So the default value is empty. Then email. So in this email also the default value is empty, and the phone number and address also same. And the final one is type. So in this type I'm going to provide two options. One is MNC and another one is the domestic. So let me provide the default value is MNC. Okay, this is more than enough. For defining the controls, I just included this name. This ID is not needed. So the reason is I am going to generate the ID in this dynamic manner. So first in this name control, let me provide the value is name. So this is nothing but our useState variable, okay? And in this onChange, we are assigning values into our useState variable, okay? Okay, this is fine. So let me save this one. The same way we can include the other controls also. So our second control is email, then phone number. So the changes are email, and the function is email change, and the label email. So similarly for the phone number, we can use this phone, then phone change, and the label is phone. And the next field is address. Address change, and this is the text area control, okay? So we can provide multi-line and maximum rows 2, and a minimum also let me provide 2, okay? So then the size will be increased. And the next control is kind of a radio button for handling our company type. So our component name is radio group, okay? So here also we can use this value and this change, and the value is type, and the function name is type change. And in this group I'm going to provide two options. So let me use form control label. We have to provide value. So let me provide the default value is MNC, and the control we can use radio, and the label we can use same MNC. So let me include one more option, and in this first radio button let me include the color. This is not mandatory, for showing some difference I am including this access, okay? So let me save this one. See now, MNC and domestic. So we need both in the same line. So in this radio group, we can include this row option. See now it is coming like this, okay? Next I am going to include our submit button and also this agree terms. So let me copy this form control label, just add it here, and this value is not needed. And in this control side I am going to use checkbox, okay? And in this label, agree terms and conditions. And in this checked, I'm going to use one useState variable, agree term. First, let me define this one. Agree term and term change. So the default value is we can provide true. Also, let me copy this function. So in this onChange event, so e.target.checked. So here we can expect true or false only, the value point of view. And finally, let me include the button. Type submit. So let me save this one. See the response. Okay, the button is coming. So let me include the variant also. So let me save this one. So our design is fine, okay? And the next thing is, if I am unchecking this agree terms and condition, make sure it should be disabled. So it is a small condition only. I'm just including this disabled. We can use the same agree terms, okay? Not equal to agree terms. So now it is disabled. So if I'm clicking this one, it is enabled mode, okay? So next we can include the validation. So let me make this name, email and phone number. These are the mandatory fields. For that, first I'm going to include this required, okay? After that, we can use this error option. And in this error, I'm going to include the condition for the name dot length. If it is 0, then I have to show the error. See now, so in this border, we are able to see this red color, right? The name puts some value, so it is automatically changed. See? So the same change I'm going to apply for this email and phone number. And in this form, I'm going to write an event on submit. And the function name is handle submit. So let me define this function. See if I'm clicking this one. So the post is not submitted, okay? It is simply blocking because this is the mandatory field. So next in our handle submit function, I'm just blocking the default behavior, prevent default. So after that, let me declare one constant variable. So this is one of the object. Here I'm going to include all of our use state variables, okay? ID, name, and the third one is email, then phone number, address, and the final one is type, okay? So let me keep this constant variable into console log. Now let me enter some more values. Test test13.com, some numbers, and the type defaultly it is MNC. Let me change this into domestic. And in this console.log, if I'm clicked this submit, see, we are able to see all the data. Okay, so this is here the ID is the only auto generate field. Other than that, we have all the values. Okay. Okay, now we have the data. So the next step is we have to call our API. Okay. So as I mentioned, I'm going to follow this Redux pattern. So this API handling everything done from the Redux side only. Okay. So now let me focus on the Redux area. So we can start from our action type. Okay. So in this action type, I'm going to declare the constant variable. So that is used for our defining our actions. Okay. So let me do one by one. Export constant. So the first one is for loading the listing. We have to make a request. So let me provide make request. Okay, and in this request we can expect two kind of response. One is the fail and another one is the success. So request get all success. So similarly we can expect the failure scenario also. Next, let me move on the action side. Actions are a kind of functions. It is returning an object. It is returning one object. Here we have the type property. So in this type, we can use this make request. Okay. And in these actions, I am not going to pass any data. So this is fine. Okay. And the second one is get all request success. So in this success, we will get one response. That is our list of company information. We can pass this data through the payload. And the third action is for the failure scenario. So in this failure scenario, we will get the error information. So we can pass this error also through the payload. Okay. So let me save this one. Next, let me move on the reducer side. Okay. So in this reducer, let me define our initial state. So this is the object. So the first property is loading. So this is for showing the loading spinner. So let me provide the value is false. And the second one is company list. It will hold the complete company information. And the third one is company object. So this is for handling the individual company information. So mainly used for the edit scenario. And the final one is error message. So default value is empty. If there is any error, we can include in this error message section. Okay. Now let me define our reducer also. Company reducer. It's having two parameter. The first one is state. So the default value we can use the initial state. And also the action. So let me format this one. And here I'm going to use the switch option. So in this switch, I'm checking this action type. So next we can use the case. If the case is make request, then we can return the same state. Also assigning value to our is loading. Okay. So let me make this into true. And let me format this one. And our next case is request get all success. So here also I'm returning the default state and then I'm making this is loading into false. Finally, I'm assigning value into our company list. Okay. So we can get the company list from our action.payload. So let me format this one. And the final one is for the failure scenario. Get all fail. So here also we are returning the default state. I am making this is loading as false. And in this company list, let me mark this into empty array. And in this error message, we can get the error information from the payload. So let me add like action.payload. At the end, we can provide the default return state. Okay, we finished our reducer side also. Next, let me move on the store. Here, let me define our store. Store equal to configure store. So in this store, we can register our reducer, okay? And our reducer name is company reducer. Also, we can include the middleware. In our case, we can use this thunk, and another one is logger. So let me save this one. So actually in our case, we have only one reducer. In case if you have more than one reducer, we have to use the combine reducer option. Anyway, let me implement it here. Constant root reducer. So this is the variable. And here, let me use this combine reducer. Okay. So in this combine reducer, let me have one object, company, then this company reducer. Okay. Next, instead of directly using this company reducer, we can use the root reducer. So finally, we can export this store. Export default store. Okay. So let me save this one. Okay, this is fine. Next, we have to use this store in our app component. Okay, because that is the base component. For using the store, we have to use the provider element. So that is provided by our react-redux only. And here we have the store option. So in this store, we can use our exact store. Okay. If it is not imported, maybe I can provide some other name. Company store. So in our app component, this company store. Okay. So let me save this one. Next, let me move on the action creator. Okay. So this action creator is a kind of function. So it will return the another function. Okay. So let me define it. Get all customers. So this is the kind of function, and it is returning another function. So in this function, first I am going to dispatch the make request. Okay. That means our make request action, it don't have any parameters. Next, we can call our API. For that, I'm going to use this axios. Okay. So the first one is the get method. We know our API endpoint also. Let me use it here. Then so similarly for the error scenario, this response. Okay. So similarly in this error scenario, we will get the error. And once we have this data, we can dispatch our get all request success action. Okay. Here I am just passing this list of company information. Similarly, in this error scenario, we can dispatch this get all request fail action. So here we need to pass the error message. That's it. So let me format this one. Okay, this is fine. Next, let me move on the component side. So here I am going to create two more functions. The first one is we are converting our state into probs. Okay, so the method name is map state to probs. It's having the parameter is state, and here so the company state, it's a kind of object only. From the whole state we are going to access only the company object. Okay, here this company is nothing but the same object we have used in our store. Okay, and similarly let me create one more function, map dispatch to props. Okay, here the parameter is dispatch, so in this dispatch we have to call our action creator. Okay, get all, oh, I provided the name is get all customers, so actually I have to change this into get all companies. Next I'm going to use the connect option. From this connect we can call both the functions, map state to props and also this map dispatch to props, and finally we are passing this component name. That's it. Okay, the concept is very simple. For our company component we are passing the props using this connect option. Okay, so let me put these props and let me include this empty dependency also at the end. We can call this function get all companies. Okay, or this one load company. Okay, okay, this is fine. And similarly we can access our state also. So next let me move on this table body, props dot company state dot company list. So we can check it from here. Yeah, this is the company list only. If it is having the data, I'm generating the for loop. So here we can get this row and also this index. So here I'm going to generate our table row. Okay, so the table row in this key section we can have this index value. Next let me including this table cell, so that is nothing but our td only. Okay, row dot name. So let me save this one, see the response. Okay, the data is not loaded. Let me verify if any error. Okay, so there is no error, but in the log we can see this make request action is executed, and other than that nothing is executed. Okay, so let me confirm. Okay, this is the problem. So while defining our action, this action type we have to use the unique value. Okay, so in this get all request is access, I have to use this action type. So similarly in this fail it should be like this. Now let me refresh once again. Okay, we have the data. For the first field should be ID, but actually I have provided us the name, so that's what it is binded like this. So let me change this one. ID, then email, phone, address type. Okay, email, phone, address, and type. And the final one is for the action. So let me have this as the empty. See now, so the data is binded. So let me check this address also. Okay, this is the capital one. Okay, this data also binded. And for this action, we can include two buttons. One is edit and another one is the delete. Okay, here the variant is combined and the color we can use primary. Let me save this one. Okay, the edit is coming. So similarly, I'm going to include one more button. So this is for delete. Okay, this is fine. For the space, we can include some style from our global style. Let me include button margin 2 pixel. Okay. Okay, see. So the design point of view it is fine. And next, let me focus on this add new. Okay. So already we have completed this design validation. We have the data also. So let me do some changes for our Redux side. Okay. First in our action type. So the first action type is request add success. Failure scenario, we can directly show the error message from our action creator. And for the make request, in our case, we are opening the pop-up, right? So what I'm going to do, let me write one action, open pop-up. Next, let me move on this action. We can copy this one. Add request. It's having the input data. So through the payload, I'm going to transfer the same data, okay? And in this type, we can give request add success. So similarly, let me create one more action. Open pop-up. It's not having any parameter and the type is open pop-up and payload there is no data. So let me save this one. So next we can move on the reducer side. First we can include for this add success, okay? So the case is request add success. Okay, in this scenario I'm just returning this actual state. In this is loading, there is no change. And since this is the success scenario, there is no error message. And other than that, we have some changes. Okay, so let me do that. So through the payload, we will get one object that is nothing but our input data only. Okay, action.payload. Okay, once we have this data in our company list, so let me include the current state value. After that, I am going to include our new object. Okay, Okay, this is fine. In this add scenario, we have to do one more change. Let me tell you. So in this input area, we not provided any control for this ID field because this is the auto-generated column. Okay. So if you are checking in our reducer side, in this input object for the particular ID, we will get the default value is 0. So then we have to calculate it manually. So what I'm going to do, first we can take the maximum ID. Let me declare one more variable, maximum ID equal to mat.max. So this state dot company list ID. Okay. So in this next line, we can assign the value for this ID. Next, let me move on the action creator. So here already we have this get all company function. So similarly, I'm going to create one more function, that is create company. Okay. It's having the parameter as data. So this is the object. And here this make request is not needed. And this is the post request. Okay. And the URL is same. But the only difference is we have to pass the data. Okay. Next, once our action is completed, we can dispatch this add request action. Okay. And we need to pass the same data. That's it. And the next thing is we have to notify the user by displaying the alert message. For the alert, I am going to use the toaster. Okay. So the package already we installed. So the configuration point of view, first in our app.js, after this browser router, we have to include this toast container. Okay. And also we can specify the position. So let me choose this top right. Okay. Next we have to include one CSS reference. Let me go to our index.js. Here I'm just included. Okay. Next in our action creator, I'm going to use this toast success company created successfully. So in this failure scenario, we can use the same toast alert. So the text is failed to create company due to, we can provide the exact reason. Okay. Error.messages. So let me format this one. Next, let me go back to our component side. So in this component, we have this handle submit. So from this handle submit, we have this complete object. So the next thing is we have to dispatch the action. So already I defined this dispatch. So using that, create company. This is the action creator method. And let me pass this object also. And once the action is completed, make sure we have to close the pop-up. So let me save this one. I'm trying to create one new record. So let me click this save button. See now, we got the message company created successfully and the new record is reflected in our listing also. Okay. So that means we have completed our create record functionality. So if you want to verify the error scenario, I'm just providing the wrong URL, providing some dummy data. See, failed to create the company due to the status code is 404 because the URL I have provided, it's not a valid one. Okay. So let me close this one. So next let me focus on this edit and delete functionality. So before that let me include the pagination for this listing. So this is not going to take much time. In our component side, after this table container, let me include this table pagination. Okay, it's having some property we can include one by one. So the first one is row per page options. So this is the array. Let me provide some values 5, 10, 20. Okay, see now it is coming, and also we can see some undefined value. So the next property is row per page. For this row per page, let me declare one useState variable. So the default value, let me provide 5. Okay. Similarly, I'm going to declare one more useState variable. So that is the page. So the default value, let me provide 0. Okay. Next, in our pagination side, we can include the values. This row per page. Next one is this page. For that, we can use the same page. And then this count we can get it from here. Okay. This in this company list dot length. And then this component, we can consider this as the div. Okay. So let me save this one. Okay, this is loaded. Next, we have to handle two actions. One is this row per page change, and another one is the page change. Okay, so let me declare two more functions. So the first one is handle page change. Okay, and the next one is handle row per page change. So in this handle page change, we will get this event and also the new page as the parameter. So here I'm going to set the values. Okay, for the page change, let me use this new page. So let me format this one. Next, in this handle row per page change, here the parameter is event. We can use this row per page change event dot target dot value, and also we need to set this page change value is 0. Okay, this is fine. Next, let me go back to our pagination, and here on page change we can use this handle page change. Similarly, on rows per page change we can use. So let me save this one. So finally, in this data binding side, I'm going to use the slice option. So we can save this one. See now, it is fine. So in case if I'm changing this into 10, so if you want to verify, we can include the option is true also. Okay. Now see, so if I'm selecting this 2, so in this first page the 2 record is loaded. In the second page we have the another 2 records. So similarly, if I'm changing this into 10, so totally we have only 4 records, so it is loaded in the single page. Okay. So now we have done our pagination also. Next, let me focus on this edit function. Okay. So in this table, I already included this delete and edit button. Here we can bind on event. This row.id. So similarly, in this delete also we can bind the event. handle remove. Now let me define both of the functions. Similarly for this, delete also. Yeah, remove. So next in this edit scenario also we need to open the pop-up. So let me include it here. And before that, I'm going to have two more use state. So the first one is edit. So the default value is false. And the next one is title change. So the default value is create company. Next in this add scenario, I mean this function add, let me provide, so this is false. And in this title also create company. Okay. Similarly in this edit scenario, so this is true and the title is update company. Next in our pop-up, so initially I have provided the hardcode value. So instead of that, we can use the title variable. Okay. And one more thing. So in this pop-up open time, actually I'm dispatching this open pop-up function. Okay. It don't have any parameters. So in our reducer side, so let me include some changes. If it is open pop-up, let me return the same state. And we no need to worry about this is loading. So in this company object, let me mark this into empty object. Okay. So let me save this one. So initially the data is loaded. If I'm clicking this add new, our pop-up is opened and our text is create company. Similarly, if I'm clicking this edit, so the text is changed into update company. At the same time, we have to populate the existing company information. Okay. For that, let me do some changes from our Redux side. Let me start from our action type. I'm declaring some variable here. I request get by code. Next in our action side, get by code success. Okay. So in this action, basically we will get the company object. So the object I'm passing to our payload. Okay. So let me change this type also. Request get by code success. Finally, in our reducer side, let me copy this one. I'm checking this request get by code success. So I'm returning the same state and this is loading is not needed. So instead of the company list, I'm going to use this company object. So whatever data I'm getting from the payload, I'm adding this into our company object. Okay. So let me save this one. Finally, in our action creator, let me create one more function, get company by code. Okay. And it is having one parameter that is code. And this initial request is not needed. So let me remove this one. And the request is get request only. But in this URL, we have to pass this code. So in this positive response, we will get one object. And here, let me dispatch our get by code success. Let me pass this object. So if there is any failure, let me show one error message. Failed to fetch the data. So that is enough as of now. Next, let me go back to our component side. So here, let me access our state using the use selector option. Edit object equal to use selector state. Here the state, then our object company, and finally our company object. Okay, so let me save this one. Next, let me declare one more use effect hook. So here in this dependency side, let me include our edit object. Okay, and in our handle edit function, let me dispatch one action, that is our get company by code, and we need to pass this code also. Next, let me get back to this use effect. So in this hook, I am trying to access this edit object. Before that, let me verify this state.company. Okay, looks like some spelling mistake. So here, let me check. So in the particular object, whether we have the data, object.keys, and this edit object. If it is more than 0 only, I'm just accessing. So in this else scenario, let me clear all the use state variable. Okay. So for that, already I returned the function. See. So I just to provide the default values only. So let me copy the same thing. If I'm having the data, I have to assign the values. Okay. First for this ID, and the second one is for name, and the third one is for email. Next this phone number, then this address, and the final one is type. So let me save this one. So now if I'm trying to edit the first record, okay, the data is not loaded. Okay, I'm getting the error. Let me verify. So in this use effect, received final argument is not an array. Yeah, now I understood. So the dependency we have to include in this array format only. Okay, let me clear the error. Again, I'm clicking this edit. See now, the data is loaded. If I'm clicking the second record, so now we are able to load the existing data. Next, let me focus on this update functionality. Okay, so this is not going to take much time because already we have done for the add. So let me go back to our action type. I'm declaring two variables. Okay, one is for update and another one is for delete. Next, in this action point of view, we can declare two actions. And the first one is for update request, and the second one is for remove request. Okay, and in this type also, request update success and request delete success. And in our update scenario, we have our parameter as an object. Similarly, in this remove request, our parameter is just a code only. Okay, the same thing we can pass to our payload also. So next, let me go back to our reducer side. I'm just copied this add section. First, let me check the type. Add update success. I'm getting the data from our payload. Here, no need to calculate this maximum ID. So let me remove this one. So instead of that, we have to find which area we have to update. Okay. So what I'm going to do, let me declare one more constant variable, final data. Okay. So then this state dot company list. Let me generate the loop. Here I'm just returning this item.id triple equal to underscore data.id means I am just returning this underscore data, okay? Otherwise the existing record, that's it. So this final data we can assign into our company list. So that's it. Next, let me get back to our action creator. I'm going to create one more new function for the update company. So in this update scenario, we have to pass the ID also in this URL, data.id, and the request type is put request. Once the action is completed, we have to dispatch this update request. And the message is company updated successfully, and the failure scenario is failed to update, and we are providing the exact reason. So let me save this one. So finally, we can get back to our component side. So here already we have this handle submit function. Here I'm just checking one condition. This is edit value is true. Then let me consider this is the update. Otherwise, this is an add scenario. So in this edit scenario, we can call this update company. So let me format this one. Now let me try to update this one. TS infotech and changed this type also domestic. See, company updated successfully, but in our listing it is not reflected. So let me verify. So in this reducer side, we have to include it like this because it will already return the array only. Okay. Now let me try to edit once again. See, company updated successfully. This message is updated. So let me take the another one record. So NT tech and this domestic. I changed all the fields. See, all are got reflected. So if I'm changing this into MNC, see, company updated successfully. So our update functionality also working fine. So the final one is delete. So in this delete, I already added this action type and also this action. So next we have to move on this reducer side. So in this reducer side, let me copy the existing content. And in this case, let me check request delete success. So here this data is not needed. So instead of the field final data, let me add filter data. Okay. Next in our company list, I'm going to apply this filter. So return data.id. Action.id. Okay, it's not action.id, action.payload. Okay, this is fine. Next, let me go back to our action creator. So in this creator also, let me create one more new function for remove company. Okay, and the input is code. Action type is delete, and this data is not needed. Through the URL, we can pass this code. So once the action is completed, we can dispatch the remove request. Okay. Here let me pass the same code, but the message is company removed successfully, failed to remove. So finally in our company.js. So finally let me come back to our component side. So already I have this handle remove. So here let me dispatch this remove company. Also I'm just passing this code. Okay. And before that, let me include one confirmation. Do you want to remove? If it is yes only, I am proceeding for the delete. Okay. Underscore filter data is assigned, but the value never added. Okay. And this confirm also not supported. First in our reducer side, yes. We need to change this filter data instead of this final data. So the warning gets gone and the error, I believe we have to use window.confirm. So now if I'm clicking this delete button, so do you want to remove? Once I'm clicked OK, so company removed successfully and also it is reflected in our listing. Okay, all the actions are working fine. Now we successfully completed this create, update, delete and read actions. So before closing this video, I'm going to cover two more small topics. The first one is, so in this initial load, how to show the loading text or the loading spinner, and also if there is any error, how to show the error message from the initial load itself. Okay. For the state point of view, I mean this Redux side, there is no changes because the initial state itself, we have included this is loading and error message. Using these two variables only, I am going to include our changes. So in our company.js, so here I am going to include one more div tag. Okay. So inside that, let me include one h2 tag also. So the default value I provided just loading. Okay. And here, let me check like props dot company dot is loading. So in this scenario, I'm showing this text. Okay. Otherwise, so our current content, that's it. Okay, it's loading, showing an error. Okay, it should be props dot company state. Now let me save this one. See, so the loading text is coming and it is closing very quickly. So let me include some timeout for showing the difference. So let me move this API call into our timeout. So in this real-time application, basically it takes some time. For the test data, we have just 4 records. Even this is the JSON server API, so it will return the data very quickly. So manually I have included some timeout. Okay. So see now, see initially it is saying loading. After some time, the record is loaded fine. Okay. So in the same area, instead of the text, we can use the loading spinner also. So similarly, if there is any error, so that also we can handle. So let me copy the same content. So instead of this is loading, let me use the error message. So whatever error we are receiving, I am just displaying here. Okay. So now we are not getting any error. So we can make the error manually. Just providing invalid URL. See now. So the request failed with the status code of 404. Here I'm just showing the error message. In this real-time application, you can include some styles. Okay. So then it will be much better. So let me uncomment this one. So if I'm refreshing once again, so our data are loaded fine. Okay, now we are in the end of the video. Still, if you have any doubts or clarification, please post in the comment box, and also please don't forget to subscribe my channel. So in my next video we can see one of the interesting video. Thanks for watching.